The Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. With your hosts, Joe Bond.
You're awful.
And A.J. Applegarth.
It's Sin Shu Chu. It's a mouthful.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, Mr. A.J. Applegarth. How's it going, man? You're a jerk.
I'm not muted.
I know. You're so funny.
I am. Goddamn regular Tom Jones up here.
Keep telling yourself that. Anyway, man.
He's a musician, not a comedian.
Whatever. I wasn't listening to you.
When are you?
What? Yeah, exactly.
Point proven.
Yes.
All right. Enough. Move on.
All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about the 2022 MLB free agents, those who have signed, those who have not signed yet. And, kind of break down what we think of the landing spots for some of the bigger names. And then, analyze as best as we can, the guys who haven't signed yet and just kind of speculate where they could go, what will happen to their value, et cetera, depending on that. First thing, though, just, if you're listening and watching, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We appreciate you guys definitely. And that helps us out big time. So please do that. And second thing, man, we still have signups open. This is going to be probably the last day or two for the Fantrax League that we are running, the Fantasy Baseball Fantasy Six-Pack Series. You guys get to play against a whole bunch of guys in the industry if you sign up. So, obviously our site, we got some Fantasy Alarm people, we've got Baseball HQ, we've got the Dynasty Guru, we've got Razzball, we've got NBC Sports Edge. I kept wanting to say NFC. We've got Fighting Chance Fantasy, we got Roto Baller, we got Fantrax, obviously. So we got some guys in there. There are officially 4 spots left. We're gonna cap it at 6. I need to get this rolling here. So there are 68 people signed up.
Six divisions.
Yeah, so, is that what I said?
Well, you just I'm asking you. You said
yes,
you were
6 divisions.
6.
Yes, yeah. Six divisions. Okay. Everybody competing in the same thing. So you'll have your separate division, and then to compete against, and then obviously you will have your the overall champions as well. But sign up. You can find the article with the sign up link on FantasySixPack.net. Or you can go to it's in the bottom here. It's just as easy as possible, but tinyurl.com/F6P series. That'll take you right to the page on our site where you can sign up. And like I said, we got 4 spots left, and then I'm going to close it just because if I get any more, then I got to probably wait for a 7th division to fill up, and I don't know if we have time to configure all of that and get the invitation sent out and things like that. So want to make sure we get it rolling so we can get draft started here probably sometime early March. With that being said, let's bring in our guest of honor, and it is Mr. Connor Tamier. Did I get that right?
Yep, you got it right.
All right, man. So Connor is a writer for Fantasy Six-Pack, and he actually wrote up a bunch of the free agent signing analysis articles during that was mostly back in December.
It felt like forever ago.
Yeah, right. It does. So when this topic came up as one we wanted to cover, I immediately wanted to reach out to Connor because he did a bunch of the analysis for the site, so I wanted him to make sure he got his voice heard here on those. But welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Let's get rolling here, but let's first do our beer of the week.
Beer.
What you got, Connor?
I got where did I put it? Alaner Muchner Lager. Pretty good stuff right here.
Nice.
I'm a big lager guy, more so than a I'm not real big on the pale ales or the ales. I like my lager, so it's the choice for me this week.
Cool.
Sweet. Digging it.
What you got, AJ?
I've got a couple sitting in front of me. Well, I always do, I feel like. But the main one I'm pushing for tonight's show is the Crooked Crab Brewing Company's Juice NATO 5. It's a New England double IPA. Pretty cool can art here. A lot of random stuff. Really awesome. Crooked Crab has always seems to have their can art on point. So
yeah,
digging that too.
All right.
What about you?
I will finish things up here, and I'm drinking. I actually drank this in the second half of last week's show, but I didn't go pick up anything new. I'm gonna go tomorrow for the Super Bowl, but I didn't announce it. But it is the Sierra Nevada Big Little Thing IPA. It is I believe it's a double Imperial IPA for them. It's a 9%er, so pretty good here. I believe I gave this a 4 on Untapped, and my phone just locked itself, so I can't tell you. 3 3/4. So, it's good, but not like hitting that threshold of like, wow, it's a pretty typical IPA. But cheers, guys. Let's have a good show.
All right.
All right, so before we jump into all the baseball talk, I feel like we got to talk about the obvious news coming up this weekend, and that is the Super Bowl. We don't need to dive into any analysis here, truly, but just want to get everybody's quick predictions for this game. And Connor, we'll start with you. Maybe Connor froze, so maybe we won't start with Connor. AJ.
All right. I agree. I don't feel like I really want to dive into a lot of analysis on this. I think I heard on the radio today, shout out WIP 94.1 Philadelphia, and they were talking about the game, and I can't remember which host it was on the show, but basically they were talking about how, outside of really Cincinnati, there's not really any fans that are rooting against either one of these teams. I feel like, Los Angeles, not really a great sports fan town, I believe, in my opinion.
Unless you like the Lakers.
Well, it's
pretty much it. It feels
it's something to do. I feel like it's the cool thing to do if you're a celebrity, to go out in Los Angeles and go pick up a Clippers game or a Lakers game or a Dodgers game or whatever. Like the fans are just, in my opinion, I just don't think they're as passionate as some of the other towns. But yeah, they were talking about how it's like, well, there's not really a team to root against. Like, there's no Tom Brady, there's no Patriots, so there's no hated, foe to be, well, I want the other team to win because I'm sick of this team or whatever.
It's also the Super Bowl, so like everybody wants to talk about like home field advantage, but like who can afford? I mean, and I get it, like you're in LA, so maybe a bunch of LA fans can, but like tickets are ridiculous. Like it's only it's not just hometown fans that are going to be able to go to the Super Bowl for this. Like it's going to be everybody from everywhere. It doesn't matter. Like it's just no.
But anyway. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't mind. Like, I mean, I don't really have a dog in the fight, so I don't really care who wins. I think I'll be kind of happy either way. I mean, I just want to see a good game. I would give the edge to, as much as I'd like to say Cincy, I think I'm giving the edge to LA, mostly because their defense is just ridiculous. And Burrow just doesn't have a lot of protection. So his line needs to really kind of hold back, or they need to come up with some schemes to keep him protected and not on his ass. Otherwise, it's going to be a long game for him.
Yeah. All right, so Connor, welcome back. You had a little technical difficulties. It happens, no big deal. So AJ picked the Rams.
Okay.
What's your pick and why?
So I'm a Cardinals fan, St. Louis fan all around, and so I cannot root for the Rams ever again.
They left town.
Yep. Hurt my
Although
feelings.
they came to you from LA too, so like, did they really leave?
When they came, I wasn't born yet though. So.
Oh man, God.
Started off.
I think
AJ,
we found the real reason.
So old.
And so for that reason, I got to pick the Bengals. I think it's going to be like in the 20s, like 28, 27, something like that. Pretty close game.
Yeah.
You can be honest with us, Connor. It wasn't technical difficulties. You just didn't want to talk about those damn Rams. I don't blame you. They ripped your heart out, man, moving.
They did. They did it bad. So yeah, I hope they're cursed. I hope they never win. Nothing against
This is
the
not
players.
as bad
It's
as what the Colts did to Baltimore.
I
in the
mean,
middle of the night.
it's really the same as like Oakland fans. I feel like you had the Oakland Raiders, and they became the LA Raiders, and then they're Oakland again, and now they're Las Vegas. It's like, what's next? The Vancouver Raiders. I don't know.
No,
Canada needs a team.
But yeah, it's going to be real tough stopping Aaron
What's wrong
Donald
with you,
though,
AJ?
for the Bengals.
Yeah,
That's going to be
and
toughest
Von Miller on
job
top
out
of
there.
that. Yeah, it's gonna be brutal. So I'll give my quick pick. I've been on a couple shows this week talking about this game, and my pick is the Rams 27, Bengals 24. I think the Bengals will cover the spread. Would it shock me if the Bengals took this game? Absolutely not, because they have just surprised. I mean, nobody thought they were, for a while there, nobody even thought they were going to make the playoffs, right? And if they did, it was kind of like, what are they going to really be? Now, I will say, and AJ, you know this, I picked them to make the AFC Championship game. I just also picked them to get slaughtered by the Chiefs. And it looked like it was going to happen until all of a sudden they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to play football and shut down Mahomes for 42 yards in the second half until that last drive.
60 minutes.
So, yeah, I still think it's going to be a close game, but along the same lines as what you guys are saying, I think the biggest problem is going to be the Bengals offensive line versus the Rams defensive line. Now, the defensive secondary for the Rams isn't that good, even with Ramsey back there. Like, they're ranked 22nd in the NFL. I forget the stat exactly, but it's right around there in yards allowed. So they're not spectacular on the defensive back side, like the secondary. But it's that front four, the front five, you know, if you want to count a couple of linebackers coming in. I mean, the Bengals got sacked, what was it? 8 or 9 times against the Titans? That's like, if the Rams get anywhere even close to that,
9 times.
Thank you. There's no chance that the Bengals overcome that like they did against the Titans. The Rams offense is far superior to the Titans offense. So there's just no chance. I mean, the Bengals were able to, you know, shut down the Titans defense or offense and keep it close to overcome 9 sacks, which is unheard of. So I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see 4 or 5 sacks at least from this Rams defense, you know, unless they just game plan the living shit out of it and somehow get, you know, see a bunch of checkdowns to mix in or whatever. Like maybe they just do a bunch of like quick slants and things like that to get the ball out. I think that they have to go in trying to do, but their offense is designed to go downfield with Chase and Higgins and guys like that. And so you try to change that just to game plan around the defensive line, I think it puts them in a bad situation. So, but I still think it's going to be a close game because Stafford's going to probably throw 1-2 picks just like he always does, and they'll figure it out. So that's my pick. Moving on here, I got a quick not watching Chiefs joke. Sorry, Rob. Oh yeah, dude, they totally did.
Andy Reid is choking on a cheesesteak right now as well.
He's good at he's good at doing that, right?
I thought that game was over when the Chiefs won the coin toss. At the
I did too.
I know.
Oh, well, so did Burrow. You see him on the sideline?
It was like poetic justice. Like, oh well, we got screwed by the coin flip last week. Let's all right. We got to make sure that Kansas City gets it.
Absolutely.
Oh, what side of his tails? Oh, let me kick it real quick. Oh, sorry, my bad.
All right, so quick update here. Just we might do this every week if we have something to talk about. But lockout update for the MLB, obviously not decided yet, not resolved. I will say this: they've at least agreed, or at least Major League Baseball has just come out and said there's going to be a universal DH. Yes, thank you. I'm tired of watching pitchers hit, except for like 3 of them.
DeGrom.
There's no more.
DeGrom.
Yeah, DeGrom and Bumgarner, and I feel like there's one more who's actually like halfway decent, and I can't think of who it is.
Pretty decent too.
Well, we haven't seen him for 2 years, so I forgot.
I mean, hey, wait. Let us not detract from Mr. Bartolo Colon.
Yes, I know exactly where you're going. Mr. Double Machine.
Please.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Big sexy, baby. Come on.
Better hair, Bo Bichette, Dansby Swanson, or Connor? Nice Trent. Oh, man. Oh, it's tough, man.
My vote's Connor all day.
Yeah.
Hey, one vote for me. There we go.
We'll do it. So, yeah, just, Manfred's come out and I think it was just today, maybe yesterday, said they're going to get a deal done, and he doesn't expect games to be delayed or canceled or whatever. I don't believe it. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And all the players are coming out and saying there's no chance. Like, you guys aren't even close, and they're missing out on. They're missing out on the minimum salary requirements that they want, and the minor league, the minor league crap that they're doing, just the manipulation with the service time, and there's other things too, but like they're just not budging enough on that stuff to please the players, and so the players are saying, screw you guys, and they'll figure it out. I agree, Rob. Manfred needs to be out, but you know what? They're not gonna do it. It's the same thing with Goodell. He's the owner's guy, and so the owners pay his salary. The owners like him. He wants to do what the owners want to do, and until that changes,
he does what the owners want him to do. He is a figurehead, just like Manfred.
Kind of what I meant. But anyway, you guys got any thoughts about the lockout? Like, what your predictions are with it, Connor?
I think they're gonna get it done sometime soon. I think both sides are gonna like crunch together, and I feel like most of the regular season is gonna be intact. Not sure what they're gonna do for spring training. I mean, it's pretty much time for pitchers and catchers to report.
Right.
That doesn't look like it's happening. But
yeah. I mean, that's my worry, is that if they don't figure this out, what's the product going to be that gets out on the field? We saw what happened in 2020. Granted, there was no fans in the stands either. It was a little bit different, sort of. But like, I had zero interest in baseball that season. And, I think that's going to happen again. If they don't get something done soon, like, they were lucky that they had the NBA trade line in the news this week, and then they have the Super Bowl. Football's over after that, basically, or they're just going to be starting draft talk again already, because they're like, oh, sorry, baseball, you missed it. So it's gonna set them back so far if they don't get something done soon.
Yeah, honestly, man, like if they don't. I agree with you, man. Like, if I have lost a lot of interest in baseball compared to what it used to be just 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I just, I'm not. I mean, if it goes dead again, I think they're gonna be digging themselves out of a hole for a long time. They're gonna have to like allow steroids again for that crap to come back and get popular again.
Well, they already came out and said that the balls were juiced last year.
No, 2 years ago, right? Last year they got. Well, I think they were juiced in the second half.
Yeah,
it wasn't the first half. The first half it was dead. But we got a question from Rob. Does the MLB really need 5 full weeks of spring training to start on time? I mean, I don't know, But they need at least 3.5. These guys got to get stretched. The pitchers got to get stretched out, right? You got to get, you got to get you got to figure out. There's obviously going to be competitions that they got to figure out for some positions on certain teams. You got to get. I say you got to get at least like 3.5 weeks.
Yeah, I think there's going to be tons of injuries too this year. I mean, just like last year and the year before.
Right.
I mean, COVID
That's
and
the biggest
injuries.
problem.
It's going to be, especially with the smaller spring training. They're not fully stretched out. They're just going to stack up just like it did last season, a season ago.
Yeah, that's another problem. It's a lot of the player talk that I've heard, throughout.
Yeah,
is just everybody is looking at. We need to get. I don't even know where I was going with this. I totally spaced. Thanks for the shout out, Alan.
We'll just move on.
I agree.
We'll just move on. So, all right, let's get into what we're here for, really, and that is to talk about some 2022 free agent talk. And, we'll start with some of the big names that have actually signed already. And we're going to start with the team who made the biggest splash here, and that is the Texas Rangers. And they went out and got Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, John Gray, Cole Calhoun, just to name a couple. So, to start here, Seager and Semien, they had a recent success, especially last year, but they've also had like very up and down careers. It feels like, it just has some really dead years. Can they both continue to excel and build off of last year, or are we going to see a dip now that Texas' lineup, even with these guys there, probably isn't really awesome? So, what do you think, Connor?
I think they're actually going to be quite decent. Some of the guys in there obviously aren't as good. I mean, they're moving from in Los Angeles is Mookie Betts is the leadoff hitter, and Toronto you're looking at George Springer. I mean, both of those guys are considerably better than anybody else on the Texas Rangers besides their Seager and Semien. So finding the leadoff hitter is going to be tough. The guy who's going to be batting in front of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be their biggest issue, but. One thing I did find interesting was the Rangers were like top 3 in stolen base attempts since Woodward became manager in like 2019. So, I think this is a team that is going to try finding a way to score with these improved hitters compared to what they were last year. I think Seager and Semien could find some RBIs right there. But, yeah, I think they will continue. Let's see. And they also do have some prospects like Jonah Heim and Josh Jung.
Yeah,
and they could end up being pretty good, especially Young. I like him a lot.
We talked about him last week with Chris here. He's a big favorite of everybody's. But and Seager came on pretty strong in the last part of last season, and really that kind of got him his contract. But
he was MVP the year before in a shortened season.
Yeah, he was a stud, like, his second and third year, and then, but kind of dropped off. So I kind of wonder, like, is the contract warranted for him? I'm still not totally sure, but
it's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money for a guy who, hit 16 bombs last year. I know it was only 95 games, but 3 years ago, almost a full season, 19 bombs again. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. I think the talent is there, but he's already going to be 28, and he's already shown a lot of inconsistency in his play, so that it does concern me that the money spent may not be worth it there. Trent's saying every game for the Rangers can be 9-7 unless they figure out the pitching. Well, they obviously don't care.
As long as they're the one with the 9.
Yeah, I agree. As far as Semien, like for me, man, Semien is interesting because he has some monster years, early on, and then sort of dropped off, and then came back really strong here. 2 years ago in Oakland was just awesome. And then last year in Toronto, like, nobody expected that. He's going to be 31, going on 32 halfway through the year here. I mean, we still expecting double-digit steals from this guy, Connor?
Oh yeah, especially after what I just said with the Rangers stealing a lot of bases, getting a lot of attempts. I think he's double digits for sure.
Yeah, I mean he's only been non-double digits twice in his career, and those are his first 2 years. I'm not counting 2020 there because of the shortened season. If he would have played a full season there, he probably would have been fine. So, he's interesting to me. He's very, I don't want to say streaky. I thought that he would be streaky, and he just seemingly kind of put it together finally in Oakland back in 19. And in 16 he had a really good season too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He had a really good season. Then kind of dropped back down.
Crap, but
yeah,
his average has been climbing ever since then. So I think if he hangs around that 265, 270 range, even if he's into the high 250s maybe, as long as he's getting on base, he's going to make things happen. So I'd like
back
the
in Oakland
spot.
Get on base. It's a Moneyball reference. Just kidding, man.
I got it.
Caught over your smile and nodding his head.
It was a long time ago. So.
Jeez. All right.
About the OBP.
That's right.
My last question with the Rangers here is surrounding, as I knock my microphone thing off here. Is surrounding one of their pitchers, and Trent mentioned it'll be bad unless they figure out pitching. But Jon Gray has always been an interesting talent, and of course people always think like, oh, he's gonna be good, but he played in Colorado, so he'll never be good, right? So now he's not in Colorado. So what's your thoughts on him now that he is finally out of Colorado? Can he be the pitcher that everybody really thought he could be?
I mean, he could, but honestly, I'm not sold on it yet. I mean, I want to see what he can do first, but I don't know. I mean, he only has 2 seasons with 20 games and a sub-4 ERA. I mean, that's kind of average.
Right.
Could be better, but it's really not too bad. But
I mean, he played in Coors, so it's hard to really put a lot of stock into the ERA
it
there.
Is. It is
for him. So you give him a little bit of a pass on that. But I'm kind of with you. I kind of think he hovers, at best, high 3s.
Yeah,
but
I'm not loving him much. Like I said, I'd rather wait to see what happens as well. Because Texas does get pretty hot in the summer, and the balls fly out of that park. So it could be, reminiscent of what he had to deal with in Coors, in a bit of a different sense, but I'm more of a wait and see with Gray.
Dave, we'll get there, man. Unfortunately, we've got them a little bit farther down the list, but we've got them.
Yeah, some people around Gray's ADP that I kind of liked a little bit more, like Steven Matz, like Zach Plesac, even a Greinke.
Yeah, I guarantee you there's
somebody
somebody reaching on Gray higher than me, but I am fairly intrigued. I will say, once Texas moved to the new park, by the way, it isn't as much of a hitters and home run park as the old one, AJ. So, to say it's comparable to Coors is not.
I'm not saying it's comparable to Coors. I just think it's, and maybe I'm just thinking of the older stadium, but it's still a bit of a bandbox. I mean, I think it's, in general, summer heats up, around the league. People have been playing for a little while, maybe not this year, we'll see, but they're getting into grooves, and down there it just seems like it's homer happy. So
yeah,
worries me a little bit.
Little side question here before we get to the next team from Rob. How do we feel about the Royals' future with Bobby Witt, Mondesi, and Lopez as Nicky Lopez? I mean, I like Bobby Witt, and I like Mondesi if he could ever stay on the field longer than 10 games, it feels like.
Yeah.
I still think the team's going to struggle overall. Like they're going to struggle to find consistent pitching and enough bats in that lineup to really make a difference. They would have to hit home runs on pretty much everybody, kind of like they did the year they won the World Series, at young, cheap value. They all have to kind of click at the same time somehow. Yeah. That's the only way it really works unfortunately for teams like the Royals. So
do love me some Bobby Witt Jr. though.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no, we talked about him last week. Go ahead, Rob. Check out last week's show with Chris Blessing. He's a prospect guy from Baseball HQ. He talked a lot about Bobby Witt, and he's phenomenal. So, anyway, let's move on here to the next team. AJ,
to the New York Mutts. I mean,
says the Phillies fan.
That's right. Atlanta, obviously coming off a World Series win, championship, and they do have a lot of holes to fill though, and a lot of free agents on that squad coming into this season, some of which we'll talk about a little later. But Connor, do you think that the Mets have done enough with their moves? And again, we're looking at Max Scherzer, Starling Marte, Mark Canha, and Eduardo Escobar. I mean, are these moves enough for the Mets to legitimately make a run at the NL East this season?
I think they could be, but I mean, they are the Mets. It seems like they get like pretty good talent, but like it's hard for them to go all the way. It seems like, I don't know what it is internally or whatever, but it seems like sometimes they have a hard time clicking. But I mean, this is one of the toughest divisions. I mean, yeah, you got the Braves. I mean, even in the Nationals with a star like Juan Soto, they're going to be pretty good. And I mean, Phillies aren't bad either. Bryce Harper, he had a really good year last year. I mean, it's going to be tough. I feel like they're just going to beat up on each other, and it's kind of, who can squeak it out in the end.
That's what this division's been. I feel like, and the Marlins are in there. They're just, an annoyance. They randomly just have pretty good pitching staffs that they've put together, and guys that can be role players at least on offense and get some runs here and there. So they're going to get theirs, and their few body blows in, but I think it's really just a 4-team race, and it's going to come down to whenever that last month of baseball is, for who's going to really put it together and shine here. So, but speaking of shining here, we've got Mr. Mad Max and his two colored eyes still out there throwing a ball around. I mean, how much do we really think he has in the tank at this point?
I think he's got enough to last into the contract. And completely different sport, but I mean, it's a guy like Tom Brady, he just retired, but he looked like he could still keep playing for another 5 years. But so for me, it's kind of hard to start like doubting these guys as they, creep up towards, 40 years old. But I mean, this season ago, he was dynamite. He hasn't really showed any slowing down one bit. So I have no reason to doubt him. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's the Mets. Maybe, the Mets will mess with them and they won't even make the playoffs this year or something, which would, I mean, I don't know. You got two pitchers like Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. I mean, those are two of the top pitchers. Sick. I mean, they could very easily be number one and number two in Cy Young voting at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's going to be, at least 2 wins a week, you would hope, coming from those guys, as long as they're shutting it down and the offense can do something. And, now that they got Marte in the fold here, maybe that happens. But, I mean, can he even stay healthy in 2022? Can he stay on the field enough to play?
That's a tough one because he kind of does have like some oblique injuries that have kind of like plagued him for a little while. But I mean, he did play a good amount last season. But I did see he posted on Twitter or Instagram. It was one of the two. He's like horseback riding, And it was like Jonas Cespedes just a couple seasons ago was like working on his farm or whatever, and so he got injured for messing with like a boar or something. If you guys remember that at all, and he
Yeah.
like missed the whole season.
Yep.
So I don't know, maybe that could just be like a Mets thing again if he gets hurt. Like I mean, the Mets get these good players, but I mean, yeah, if he can't stay healthy, then I'm not so sure if it's gonna be like. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough trying to predict if someone can like stay healthy or not. Because
Yeah. I mean, looking at his, last year he had 120 games. 2020 obviously was a shortened season. 132 and 19, 145 and 18. So it's not that he's a massive injury risk. He just misses some time, and I think it's enough to kind of derail him for a week here and then another week there and whatnot. So even though he's on the field and he's playing, I just think that these injuries, even though they are fairly minor, they end up creeping up and hurting him more overall than just him missing a week.
Yeah, I mean, so I want to say something about Max Scherzer and the fact we're worried about injury, right? I mean, if you remember, just 2 years ago, he missed a significant amount of time with neck and back injuries, and it reminds me of what's been happening with Kershaw, right? And Max was able to overcome it, and he tries to play through it more than Kershaw ever did or does. And it's fine, but and it seems to be working for him. He can somehow pitch through it and still dominate. But you wonder, like, when is it going to catch up to him? I mean, we're talking about a guy who's going to be going on his year 38 season. I know, I'm a couple years older than that. Like, I get neck and back injuries. Like, I'm not pitching baseballs like hit 95 miles an hour. Like, no chance. But somehow he's able to do it because he's Mad Max. But eventually, I think it's gonna catch up to him, and it's just a matter of when. And again, Connor, to your point, like, it's super hard to predict the injuries. I have him ranked super high in my starting pitcher rankings for this season still. So I expect great things from him, despite the Mets curse with pitching. And to Dave's credit here, over under DeGrom, and he's pitched for this year 75. I hope it's more. I've got him in my dynasty team. Like, I need way more out of him than 75.
I have him on a dynasty team as well.
It's brutal, man. When he misses, it's my season's done.
Well, especially I mean, both of these guys are bona fide first round picks. At times in most leagues, I feel like. The thing with Max too. I mean, his innings overall have just come down. I mean, he's not the 200 inning guy that he was back when he was, young. I would say 28, 29, 30, 32, 33 even. They've just fallen off completely from that. He's had some injuries that have really slowed him down, but he did look really damn good last year. I mean, he had under 2 ERA in LA when he went there. 7-0, 11 games started.
Yeah, it was amazing once he graduated.
That's just
phenomenal.
Sure, so I'm a big Max fan. It's going to be hard to kind of root for him being in a Mets jersey, but I mean, he was in a Nationals jersey for a long time, and I still loved him there. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be an interesting to see how it pans out for the Mets.
Yeah, the Mets and Nationals, if the season starts on time, I'm pretty sure they're slated to play Week 1. So,
I believe they are.
I feel like they'd give DeGrom the opening nod, but probably Game 2, you might probably see Max Scherzer if it starts on time. So that'll be real fun to watch.
So next team here that we're going to stop on here is the Los Angeles Angels. And, they signed Iglesias, we just mentioned Thor, Mr. Noah Syndergaard. They signed Laup and they signed Mike Lorenzen. The top two guys here are the ones we're going to really focus on here. And the big thing with Thor, right, is just, God, can he stay healthy? Can he shake off the rust that, from missing basically 2 full seasons here, and get back to even being an above average starting pitcher? I mean, at one point, man, he was considered top 5, top 10 in a lot of circles, and for good reason.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, I totally think if he could stay healthy, then he's going to be super valuable in fantasy baseball. I mean, and real baseball to the Angels. I mean, the team that needs a starting pitcher like that is them. Pair him with Ohtani and with hopefully a good offense again. I mean, that's kind of a sleeper team right there that, could make a wild card spot or maybe even win that division if the Astros kind of fall behind. But yeah, I do like Noah Syndergaard. But yeah, again, it comes down to that health. Is really his biggest question mark.
I feel like a lot of it was, just, or at least we all think to some degree that it was super mismanagement by the Mets with the injuries, like letting him try to pitch through them, right? Instead of just shutting him down for 2-3 weeks and coming back, but they would let him pitch through an elbow injury, and you're like, no.
Yeah, and they did the same thing with DeGrom last season too, where he was kind of pitching while he was a little hurt.
They Mets themselves, and it's bad. I mean, I do like Syndergaard. I like the landing spot for him. It's new coasts, new mentality. I mean, the dude's still only 29, so he's definitely in that zone of where you kind of really see pitchers start getting really good, and at least in my opinion, take again Max for example. That was his dominant stretch, most dominant stretch. But I think that he's gonna need to be worked in slower. I think he's gonna have to overcome the mental aspect of it, from what he's been put through in New York. And just if he can shake that rust off, I really like where his upside could be.
Yeah. And Dave, rule number 52, never rely on a pitcher to tell you that he can pitch through an injury. But I agree with you, man. Pitchers get injured far too often. It's hard to rely on them. So
yeah,
especially now.
Keep working the waiver wire.
Setting a new record every year with the injuries.
And maybe my producer should do his job and shouldn't make me do it 20 seconds before the show. Anyway.
Take that, LaPlante.
Yeah.
I want to slide this one time.
Yeah, slide this one time. I'm right. So next guy I want to talk about here is Rafael Iglesias. Very good pitcher in my opinion. Just is always sort of underwhelmed a little bit compared to what you think he can be. The strikeouts are always phenomenal, but what's your thoughts on a potential 40 game save season here from him with the addition of a Syndergaard and maybe hopefully a full season of Trout?
Yeah, I'm not completely sold on it. I mean, he is a really good pitcher, but 40 saves, I'm not even sure if anyone reached 40 saves last season. I think
he was at 34 actually. Way better than what he was. Just looking at that.
So he's definitely one of those guys that are really close, but 40, I think he might be around 37, 38. So he's there, but I don't think he's above 40. I think Josh Hader, Liam Hendricks are a better chance for 40 saves than Iglesias. I mean, the Angels have mostly been a middling team. It's not like they've been super great. Not many save opportunities. But I do like him. He's a good pitcher. Probably number 3 or number 4, closing pitcher out there.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think the big thing here too is, the other pitcher that we mentioned here coming back in, is Mike Lorenzen. Not that he's, world breaking or anything like that, but he's familiar with Iglesias. They've pitched together in Cincinnati. He used to be the setup guy for him. And then he used to steal saves from him occasionally. So I think, if anything, it's like a comfort safety net, that we use. But I don't know. I mean, I think if Iglesias again can kind of get out of his own way, and not have like breaks where he just gets hit up. I think he can hit 40. I think it'll be close. We did not see a 40 last year. I thought that we
did not.
No, Melanson
got 39. Yeah, who would have thought that going into the season?
Yeah.
I guess this is my problem where I fully admit I have not paid as much of attention to baseball as I probably should have, but I'm thinking of Iglesias in 2019 when he had a above 4 ERA. Other than that, dude, the dude's been legit. So take back he hasn't been as good as we all thought he was.
And 12.
He's been crazy good.
He
got lit up that year. I guess who had him in leagues?
I had him.
I had him in leagues too, and it was just like, what's going on here? He blew so many saves. He still got 34 saves, which was pretty amazing.
I mean, Kirby
ERA
Yates was the only one to get 40 in that season. 41.
I think I had Kirby Yates that season.
And then the year before that, he had Edwin Diaz at 57, Wade Davis 43, and Kimbrel at 42 when he was with Boston. So it's definitely like a landmark amount. I feel like just to have that many opportunities in general too. Teams just have to.
You see the closer by committee now, in a lot of teams, even when they've got like a guy who is the lockdown one that they use, like they're only going to use him for 2 straight days or whatever, at most, and so you don't see the guys going for 3 anymore. But
all right, well, let's stick with the pitching nonsense here, I guess, and we'll have a little trade-off of sorts, talking about a couple individual guys here. First one, we'll start off with Mr. Kevin Gausman, former Oriole. So Joe and I are quite familiar with Gausman and his ways, we'll say, or former ways. 2021, I mean, this guy put together a career year. It was best season of his career. Pitcher friendly San Francisco, obviously. Now he heads to the Rogers Center in Toronto, and while that's not as pitcher friendly of a park, it's just in general a brutal offensive division. The lucky part for him is that he's on Toronto this time and not on the Orioles. So he gets to face them occasionally. But he's just not familiar with this division in a good way. So do you think Gausman can continue his success from San Francisco last year and be this year's version of, the 2021 Cy Young winner from Toronto, Mr. Robbie Ray?
I think he'll get close. Am I on here? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, yeah, I do think he'll get close. I mean, I think his strikeouts are a little bit down. Robbie Ray's always had a little bit higher strikeouts, but for the most part, their career numbers are pretty similar. And I mean, I had Gausman in 2021. He treated me well, so I think I'm going to be targeting him again.
You and me both.
You too.
He went super late. I was like, click. Thanks, guys.
Those late round value starting pitchers that end up blowing up like Gausman help out.
Yeah.
But I do like him. I'm not sure if he's going to win a Cy Young. I mean, American League is probably going to be tough to win a Cy Young. We still have guys like Robbie Ray, went to the Mariners, like Garrett Cole, Shane Bieber, even like a Lucas Giolito is pretty darn good. But I mean, I like him. It is a tough division, like you were saying, one of the most competitive divisions. But I do like him for this year.
Yeah. So speaking of Ray, there, you mentioned he went to the Mariners, and that's who I was talking about. It was basically like a flip flop. He went west. Gausman went from west to east. He's taking his Cy Young talents out there to pitcher friendly Seattle, and really a weak division. You got Houston, but they're kind of up and down in my opinion. They've lost Springer already. They're
going to lose Correa.
They're going to lose Correa. Yeah. So,
Oakland's been, in the mix.
They're
fine.
Been okay. But they still have some good hitters there. But Texas
will pick things up, obviously. But I'm not sure we think they're a juggernaut offense yet.
Tougher than it was last year, we would say. But, should we just hand Ray the Cy Young now? Or do you expect more of a return closer to some of his career numbers, back in ERA and whatnot?
Walks.
Yeah.
That's the big one in my opinion.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to tell. I think maybe a little bit of regression, but honestly, no reason he can't go out there and do it again. The division's okay. Mike Trout, he hasn't been able to play for the Angels in a full season for a while, so that kind of just weakens them. But I don't know. I do think it's a little too early to just go and hand out the Cy Young, though. Like I was saying with Gausman, you got Garrett Cole and Shane Bieber. Those guys, are the top dogs, I think, even though Robbie Ray did just come out and prove he could do it. So I don't know. That one's tough for me, but I do like Robbie Ray this year, but I don't know if I'm ready to give him the Cy Young.
Yeah, to me, when you look at Robbie Ray, you look at his pitch, repertoire, and you saw that last year he cut down the usage of his cutter a ton and upped his usage of his fastball, which is clearly his best pitch. He increased his changeup slightly, but I'm not sure that was enough to really make the biggest difference. The biggest difference is he got rid of the cutter, which was weird. That's usually a good pitch for people, good strikeout pitch for people. But if he can continue that and that works, we've also seen a lot of times where 1 year, teams haven't quite caught on to that. That's exactly what they're doing until it's too late. And they're just dominating over it. And then the next season, it's like, oh, yeah, this is what he's doing. So
get trash can lids.
Yeah. That. But, I don't think we're going to see, 6, and 5 ERA Robbie Ray anymore that, we've seen in the past.
I agree with that.
But I think he's somewhere more in the mid to high 3s ERA. I don't think we're getting below 3 ERA anymore from him. I also don't think we're getting a less than 3 walks per 9 Robbie Ray anymore. He never really came close to that in his career. He was 3.5 and higher basically. So I think we're going to see, negative regression from him, but he's still going to be a solid pitcher. I won't have him anywhere because I know somebody's chasing last year's stats for sure in my league somewhere.
Yeah, just like Kevin Gausman. He's getting picked a lot higher this year than he was a season ago.
Yeah. I won't have him either because of it. I like him, but I won't have him.
Players after that.
There's other guys that I think could be this year's Ray and Gausman, who I'll take much later, and I'll let you guys have Ray and Gausman at their inflated prices.
Let's see. I wrote a couple names down for some players who I thought could be similar. I do like Kyle Hendricks and a Wade Miley too, are a couple of guys that are going pretty late in drafts that I like for pitchers.
Yeah.
But guys that late, it's kind of a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, but what the problem is, not the problem. The good thing about those guys that you take super late, they're easily replaceable. If they disappoint early, you're like, bye, cut, go get the next hot guy, and just hope that they continue on. If once they start stumbling, you go get the next hot player. If you start streaming until you find one that sticks, and you would love to draft everybody that works, but it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. All right. What's the next team we got here?
Yeah, so we're getting to Dave Eddy's Detroit Tigers, and they made a couple signings here. Got Javy Baez coming over from the Cubs. We got Eduardo Rodriguez coming over from the Red Sox, and Tucker Barnhart. I might get your opinion here quick on Rodriguez as well. I didn't put it in the show notes, but I am kind of curious now that I looked at the list again. But Javy Baez is obviously the biggest name here. Has been a phenomenal player for the Cubs. Sort of dropped off, but still putting up, at least for fantasy purposes, very good numbers overall. Like very good counting stats. Gets steals, gets home runs. Batting average could be a little bit better. He's a very aggressive player, and in OBP leagues, like he's just atrocious for that. So you're not getting in for that. But I've had him in a league where it's OBP, but I just don't care because I will take the steals and the bombs from him and all the other counting stats. But what's your thoughts with him now in an offense that won't be as good as the Cubs, right?
I mean, I personally don't think this offense is too awful. I think the players surrounding the Javy Baez on Detroit could be better than the players like around Marcus Semien and Corey Seager in Texas. Like I wrote about Akil Baddoo in the outfield preview that just released a week ago. And, I think impressive rookie season. I think he could put up like a 2020 easy. I mean, a guy like that around him is going to be nice. I mean, even Gausman put up 2020 last season. I know some people are pretty high on Heimer Candelario. I hope I said that right. I think I'm close.
Dave will let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even like Jonathan Scope's okay. Like he's not bad.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. I think this is a team.
I think Scope is always super undervalued, man. Because he's not flashy. Like he's basically like power only, but that fits for some people.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, they still got Miggy in the lineup. I'm pretty sure is coming back. So he's not as good as he was, but Miggy's Miggy, can't take away what he brings to the team. It's like I really don't think this team's too bad, but there's another division where they like to beat up on each other and kind of, they all stay around that same record for most of the year. But I do like the Javy Baez in this lineup.
Yeah, looking at the comparisons there, it's the Tigers were 16th last year, so middle of the road there at a 242 average overall compared to the Cubs being 237. So fairly close. The difference was that I was looking at the other day. Where is it here? I think it was stolen bases. Detroit was up at 7, and Chicago wasn't far behind them there either. So that's probably not the one I was looking at. But I think overall it was more power based. Just having the lineup there and coming to a new town, again for Baez, I think it's just I like the output. I like what he's done, but he is super aggressive, like you said, Joe. That does worry me a little bit, especially with some of these pitchers he's going to be seeing, which mostly are White Sox pitchers, Lance Lynn, Giolito. He might have a little more trouble with some of those guys. With that,
might be better than what he saw in his old division, but my thing with him is like it was weird because everybody was super down on him after 2020. And of course, that shortened season, man, he was like one of the worst players in baseball. I felt like,
he was
8 bombs.
terrible.
Granted, it was only 60 games, but 8 bombs, batted 203. Damn. Bounced back to like a 267 average, but that was even lower than what you usually got from him. And he brought back the power, the RBI, and the runs were again back down from that probably near MVP season in 2018 when he went 34 21 steals and over 100 RBI and runs both. But I don't know. I mean, I still like him as a player. You know, as Dave kind of mentioned here, Baez is a much better real life player. I think that's the defense, right? Like you love his defense out there. You know, but his offense, I think it's good for fantasy. It's just I think everybody wants like the new high upside guy, and sometimes like just getting, you know, upper 20s, low 30s, and you know, double digit steals like this with, you know, 80 runs and RBI, super valuable. Just something you can rely on. Like, so don't sleep on it, guys. It's like, don't pass on him for like the next up and coming star. You might regret that.
Shortstop is really deep this season.
It is. Yeah. Everybody wants the next, you know, the next thing, it feels like, and they're passing on him big time. So, all
right. Yeah, we got.
So that's pretty much it for Detroit. So finish off with the Cubs here, and then we'll jump into the unsigned guys.
Yeah. So, like I said, going back to the Cubbies here. If I can pull up the right page. I have too many windows open. There it is. Okay. Cubbies signed Stroman. They've got themselves Yankan Cook Gomes and Mr. Clint Frazier. So
I think Stroman's exciting, but
I like Stroman. I've been a fan of his. Joe, I think you'll disagree with us here, but
no, I like him. My question with this was, the Cubs it feels like they're trying to rebuild. So why spend the money on a guy like Stroman? Like, it seemed like it was kind of unnecessary and pretty stupid.
At the time, it seemed like Stroman was kind of looking towards the Cardinals. Maybe it was a thing. They just wanted to keep him from the Cardinals.
That's possible. I mean, they do.
I do see what you're saying. I mean, looking at their lineup, it's pretty average, pretty mediocre, basic.
Great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't have Rizzo there anymore. They don't have Baez anymore. Chris Bryant's a free agent. It's not the same, you know, World Series Cubs team, you know, that we saw. You know, just in general, I just think the name value for the team isn't there. So maybe that's why they're doing it. You know, like, oh, wait, people know who Stroman is. Come on, go get him. Yeah, they're also a bread company. Come on, let's go. You know, and then Gomes is good, but I mean, you already have like a very good catcher in Contreras. So, I mean, are you that worried about him that you need, you know, the backup, or is this more of the we really think this universal DH thing is going to pan out, so we're going to go ahead and try to get someone who can catch and then put Contreras there.
Could be, yeah. It's a
Frazier. Good idea. I mean, Frazier's a guy I owned in Dynasty years and years ago, you know, and then he just never came up. So I was like, what the hell? I mean, I think he's good, but he's not. I mean, he's average. He fits in with what's there. So I mean, are you even targeting anyone, new or old, in the Cubs uniform this year for your 2022 squads?
I mean, Contreras, yeah, like you were saying. I mean, if he plays every day, gets some DH, and that could be pretty valuable at a catcher spot.
Yeah.
He ends up playing every day. Like, this is my first year in TG FBI, and I just realized, you know, it's two catchers. It's not just one. I've never played two catchers before, so that'll be interesting to kind of, you know, see how I figure that out there. I know another guy on the hitting side, like Rafael Ortega. You know, he's a guy, got some steals, might be a double-digit steal guy. Could be pretty interesting late in drafts. Might find some value there. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what his ADP is, but he might be a guy that you might even find on the waiver wire after week 1 or week 2, something like that. But yeah, on the pitching side, I got no problem going for Stroman or Kyle Hendricks, Wade Miley. And like I said, before with the last question. Yeah, like Wade Miley with that no-hitter last year, that was pretty big. I picked him up like right before he did that. So.
Nice.
Sweet.
So, yeah, felt good in getting that in there. Another guy, if he gets called up this year, Brennan Davis. I know lots of dynasty players like Brennan Davis if he gets the call up, so he'll probably be added in almost every league if he gets called up. Yeah, besides for that, it's pretty slim pickings.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. So I think let's finish it up here and
free agent games.
our unsigned free agent guys here, and start off here with the first base position. We got Mr. Freddie Freeman and Anthony Rizzo. Obviously, Freeman's the name to really look out for. He's the hot commodity here, right? That everybody wants and wondering where he's gonna go. It feels weird to even think of him not being in a Braves uniform, but it almost feels like more and more every day, like when you hear the rumors that it's gonna happen. I've heard the Dodgers. We always hear the Yankees with every big player, right? But you just hope that doesn't happen. I think everybody's sick of the Yankees signing all the big names. But either way, man, what do you him and Rizzo have honestly, if you look at their stats, like pretty comparable stats overall, aside from average, but
Rizzo's not good at average.
No, but Rizzo's ADP is actually pretty low because of kind of some struggles the last couple of years. But can we expect him to bounce back and be an upper tier first baseman again?
I'm not sold on it personally. And like some of it's part due to him, and I think some of it's also kind of due to some of the other first base players that have emerged in baseball. I mean, like Ryan Mountcastle. I mean, I'm thinking about picking Mountcastle over Rizzo. Jared Walsh, I think he might be better than Rizzo. And Vlad Jr., obviously. I mean, a couple seasons ago, Vlad
kind
Jr.
of a no-brainer.
I mean, Vlad Jr. is one of those guys that just broke out a couple seasons ago. Obviously, he wasn't getting picked over him. So I think those guys kind of push Rizzo down the rankings and maybe put him in there as like a bench spot. But I'm not sure if I'm sold on him being a starter for fantasy baseball.
I agree with you, man. I've got him ranked pretty low in my first base rankings right now. I can see myself moving him up slightly, but not a bunch, man. I mean, I've just got a lot of guys ahead of him that I just feel more comfortable starting.
And him and Freeman's numbers are pretty similar, but I don't know. I just feel Freeman's the safe bet.
Oh, 100%.
Freeman's definitely
Freeman's a stud.
The better get there. He's got one more, I guess you could call it one more year under his belt. It's like 20 games or something. But I mean, the average alone, neither one of them's really a threat on the base paths anymore. The home runs are there. They're both right at close to 300.
So Freeman's been much better lately. That's the thing. It's just like,
And he's a guy that you used to look at and be like, oh, he's an injury risk and this and that. I went back through and I looked at his games played, and he's really not.
It was the thing with Freeman was that he didn't have the offense around him, so everybody went, okay, we know Freeman's actually good, but his counting stats, his RBIs, and his runs weren't elite, to match his average. And then he got Acuna and others around him that were playing better, and he took off. And he just put himself in another tier, and it was just like, okay.
His 2019 was pretty crazy. 13 runs, 121 RBI.
Yeah. So, I mean, even 2020, when you think about the 340 average he had, it's unbelievable. So, I mean, clearly Freeman's the guy you want, but, the question mark here is Rizzo. Like, where do you place him, and who do you feel, how... Obviously, things can change depending on where he goes. But as of right now, like I'm not really buying into him too much. So
yeah. So all right, we'll move in a little ways across the diamond here. We'll stop at shortstop. Basically, you got Trevor Story and Carlos Correa as the two, big names there. I mean, my question for you, Connor, is neither of these guys has been away from the team that they were on last year yet in their careers. So which player do you think has a higher probability of continued success with a new team?
I'm taking Trevor Story there on that question. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've always been a Trevor Story fan. He's like one of my guys or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the down season last year, still 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases. Like his down season was fairly good. I think even leaving Coors Field, I think he'll get back to 30 homers and potentially the 20 steals again. And Arenado, I mean, the average was down last year, but I mean he 35 homers in St. Louis really ain't bad at all. So I mean, I think Trevor Story will do just fine. And I feel like Carlos Correa is a little bit more of like an injury risk personally. Is kind of how I see him. So that kind of marks him off for me personally.
All right.
Yeah.
Joe,
I personally don't really want either one of these guys this season. I know shortstop's pretty deep. I think there's some other guys, going around them that I'll probably try to get somebody above them, to be honest with you. But I know that it's easier said than done. But I mean, if I had to pick one to be Story, but I mean, I am worried about the splits. I mean, like his career splits away from Coors. I mean, like 2/3 of his home runs in his career were at Coors.
That's fair.
That's
Carlos Correa is a lot cheaper than Trevor Story right now.
It is, yeah.
So that kind of bodes well for him.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, hey, I could go a little bit cheaper and just get Baez after all these guys and not have to worry about it, maybe. And like Dave said earlier, I think he wants is it Adams? Adames?
Billy Adames.
Yeah.
He wants him 40 picks later. So yeah, I feel you on that one too. Next grouping here, we got some outfielders. So we got Chris Bryant, we got Nick Castellanos, we got Eddie Rosario, and we got Joc Pederson. The question we wrote down for you was around Joc Pederson and just like, can he be a true fantasy asset? Knowing he's been a big platoon guy his whole career. And he brought up something obviously that I made a note of to talk about before the show that I just went, oh yeah, duh. So yeah, speak on that a little bit and then we'll get into the rest of these guys.
Yeah, I think we were in the same boat of like looking at Joc Pederson as, he is interesting. He had some good seasons in LA with the Dodgers. But yeah, then he kind of did turn into a platoon player, which isn't valuable at all for fantasy. But with the DH just now being announced for the National League, I mean, I think he'll easily find a spot as an everyday player. Yeah. And I mean, I think he plays every day and he does well off the start where they don't have to bench him or anything like that. I could see him, 30 homers. He'll probably still bat in the low 200s, like 230, like around his career average. But I mean, if you need power, I mean, why not go out and grab him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he can be a cheap source of power, and yeah, like if he could sign on an NL team that has DH now, hey,
yeah,
keep his bat in that lineup, and he'll pay dividends. I kind of bought into it last year, wherein I thought he might get a bit more playing time than he did, playing for the Cubs. Thinking they needed to keep his bat in that lineup a little more than they did, but it didn't work out. Because I was banking on a cheap 25 to 30, if not more, home runs from him, and you could get him cheap in drafts.
Yeah.
The rest of these guys here, though, Chris Bryant just seems to be going downhill, and then Castellanos coming off a monster season, but landing spots obviously going to play a big part. Rosario's had good seasons before. Still, I think a good overall player. And what do you think about these guys overall? You don't speak on all of them, but just pick one that you want to talk about here.
I mean, I love me some Nick Castellanos. I feel like wherever he's going to go, he's going to be good, and I think he's going to be pretty good, like all around. I feel like he doesn't really have too many like glaring holes in his game. He's going to play every day wherever he goes. Probably be one of the best outfielders wherever he goes. I don't know. I just always like Nick Castellanos.
Do you think he's more of the 3,400 RBI guy we saw last season, or more of the 25, 26, 27 home run type of guy we've seen in seasons past?
He's probably right in the middle, right around like the 30 home run mark. That's probably where he's at.
I'm trying to think. He's
29.
A 309 batting average last year
you're right.
was a career high for him.
Oh,
so
it'll be
I'm not
30.
sure if he'll hit 309 again.
Close to 30.
But yeah, if you can hit upper 200s and 30 home runs, I mean that's really good.
Yeah. I would lean more towards Castellanos. I mean,
he's clearly the higher ranked guy. I just wanted to see
Philly just because we don't have an outfield that's not named Bryce Harper, and somehow we have DH and a first baseman that's both named Rhys Hoskins. So that's interesting, but I think Castellanos is the best of the bunch here for sure. He's got the better upside for power. He's shown it before. Hell, he hit 10 triples in 2017, and led the league. So that's pretty impressive for me because triples don't come easily. I'd like to see him be, a little more aggressive on the base paths, but whatever. It's not his game, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Real quick, Connor, what's your thoughts on Chris Bryant? Like, any sort of resurgence you think he's going to have in his career, or is he just? I feel like he's still. He's 30, but like it feels like a young 30, right? I don't know what's going on with him. Like, he was a stud early on. Like, what happened?
I think it kind of the whole thing with the Cubs. I feel like they kind of went downhill there, and brought everyone with them. All their numbers kind of collapsed. Chris Bryant, 2019, he was hitting 280, 31 home runs. That's pretty good. 2020 hurt him, and then obviously
sort of mediocre last year.
And 263 batting average. I really don't think he's bad. I guess we'll see where he ends up. See if he can play every day, which I think he should. I think he should play every day. Yeah, he plays the outfield, third base.
Yeah, he could easily fill a spot in third. That's where he's played the majority of his career, is at third, until more recently he's been solely outfield. He's a guy that could fit in that DH role too. So I think someone's gonna get a pretty good deal with him. Again, I'd love to see him come to Philly. It'd be nice. Him and Bryce Harper are good friends, so make it happen, Bryce. Let's go. So looking at the last position that we really have here is the DH, and this is just kind of a more for fun. We've got Old Man River Nelson Cruz and Old-ish Man Creek Jorge Soler. Basically
nice.
They're basically
he's 29. He's younger than the guy we just talked about.
Like I said, oldish. All right.
We are not allowed to call a 29-year-old old anymore, AJ. Just to let you know.
What? Can't hear you.
I'm right there with you. Just so you know, I'm make fun of myself, by the way.
Can I read the damn question?
No, you can't. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Right.
No, that's good.
Who hits more homers? That's the upside of these guys. They're DH guys. And now that, again, and the National League has DH, this opens things up for Cruz a little bit more to go to one of those teams. Who would you rather roster in fantasy this year?
I think Nelson Cruz. I did see they're going like pretty much back to back for DHs.
Yeah.
I mean, Soler was really bad in the first half of the season with the Royals there. I put him on the drop list a couple different times. His strikeouts were really high, and he really wasn't doing anything. Then he went to Atlanta, and everything turned around. I mean, especially like in the playoffs, he had some big home runs.
Yeah.
So maybe he carries that energy into this year, and takes over as he could be if everything pans out for him. He really could be one of the best designated hitters because he has so much power.
Yeah.
But I feel like Nelson Cruz has just been very consistent in his career, and he's never really had too many like valleys. He's mostly kind of staying average for his career.
Yeah, he's been steady and consistent. Few injuries here and there, but
Soler's at least going to have outfield eligibility too, so that's going to be huge for him compared to Cruz.
Just keeping him at utility.
Yeah.
So I think it's Soler, mainly because of the outfield eligibility. And Connor, before we jump into the couple pitchers here we got to close things out, do you like to roster guys who have DH or utility in your fantasy leagues? Eligibility only? If you can get a guy like a Cruz in his heyday, right? Or and I'm trying to think of other guys, but
it limits a lot.
It does.
Yeah.
Like I've had Franmil Reyes, who when I had him in my dynasty league, he had outfield for a while, but now he's utility only, and he sort of it sucks. Now I think he has outfield back. I don't know, it like randomly popped back up on Fantrax. I was like, oh, okay, cool, thanks. But
it felt
like
bad.
when he was utility only last year, it was just kind of like he's my utility guy every single day. Like there's nothing I can do about it. There's no flexibilities. So like, is there a place where you are willing to do that? Like if you can get a Cruz.
Honestly, Ohtani is one of those guys who play daily leagues where you can, swap them out between pitcher and designated hitter. Put them in that utility.
Just don't play in Yahoo.
Oh, do they not have that? Oh, are they separate?
He's two players in Yahoo.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not the big fan of that.
Oh, Ohtani, yeah.
Yeah.
But Ohtani's the guy for me for DH. But yeah, besides for that, what is really only Nelson Cruz with the DH only, right?
I feel like there's somebody else I'm missing.
Shit, I just had him in my head.
I know. It was Reyes, but he randomly has outfield now.
Miggy, I think, is only going to be DH at this point.
Yeah,
Is he?
I don't think he played first base enough last year.
It's tough because it does limit you a lot, and
I don't know.
I'm one of those players that like to keep my options open. So kind of stinks when you're trying to move something around your lineup and you're like, oh, I can't move this guy anywhere.
Yeah. I have legit passed on Nelson Cruz in drafts for rounds, and then Stanton's not one. He's got outfield still.
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
That's not right.
He has to.
I don't think he did last year.
Let's look. Well, he still does according to Fantasy Pros on my rankings, but that could be delayed reaction of certain leagues not updating this stuff. But I like in years past I've passed on Cruz before, which is why I bring it up, and like I've regretted it because this dude just mashes, right? And you're like, oh man, I could really use that right now.
Yeah. He just stays good.
Stanton played 26 games in the outfield last year.
Really?
Yep. 10 in left field, 16 in right field. There you go. Anyway, let's finish things off here real quick with the pitchers. Sorry. So we got Zack Greinke, Clayton Kershaw, and Carlos Rodon. I'll just let you speak about whoever you really want to here. We had the question about, can you think Greinke can produce at SP1 levels, but I don't really think that's. I think that's a big fat no. I think it's kind of like, what do we
originally, and I was like,
you probably should have. I think and you can pick the question here. Like, what do we think about Greinke's, outlook for this year? He sort of seems like he's on a decline, and then kind of surprises people randomly, like every other year. It feels like Kershaw has been injured time and time again, but when he's on the mound, he's phenomenal. Where are you comfortable taking him? And with Carlos Rodon, had basically a breakout year last year. You pick the question and answer one of those.
Let's see. That's a tough one. I was looking at Greinke. That's the question. You guys
Right,
gave me.
I know. I threw that at you. I'm sorry.
I mean, yeah, definitely not in number one SP, but I mean, his ADP is pretty low. I mean, yeah, he is kind of on that decline, but I mean, kind of what we were talking about earlier. You find those late SP value guys late in the draft who could end up, winning the league for you. He's possibly one of those guys.
He's 2 years away from a pretty phenomenal season, at least ERA wise. Like strikeouts have dipped dramatically for him.
Yeah. And between like 2017 and 2019, he had the 3 straight seasons with like 200 plus innings. Like I'm not sure if he's gonna get 200 again, but it could be like 170 to 180, which isn't bad. Yeah, I haven't done too much looking into Kershaw, but I do like Carlos Rodon. He's one of those guys who I liked years ago when he was coming up.
Yeah, everybody did.
Healthy.
He was that.
Rodon.
He was
on that same dynasty team that I had with Frazier.
Okay.
Yeah. He's one of those late breakout stars, those forgotten guys that everybody kind of just decided to throw in the trash because he was trash.
Yeah. I was hurt.
He's Forky.
Yeah.
If everybody knows what I'm talking about here.
I'm trash.
Only people with kids know that reference. Good job, AJ. Thank you. Relief pitchers. We got Kenley, Janson, and Brad Hand are the big ones here. Just with Kenley Janson, right? We've seen his struggles. Do we see his role getting kind of diminished here just at this point too, and Brad Hand, what do we think about him?
For Kenley Janson, I mean, if I'm a team, a general manager that needs a closing pitcher, kind of like Detroit or Texas, Washington, San Diego, like I'm eyeing down Kenley Janson. I think he's still really good. And yeah, I think if he gets to be a closer, he'll do just fine and be like top 10 closing pitchers probably if he's able to stick there.
I think the problem with him though is like you look at his walk rate, and that's what really scares you as a pitcher. Like he got out of some jams the last couple of seasons, right? He had over almost a 5 walk per 9 rate last season. I mean, he got feels like every game I saw him, it was like bases loaded, 1 out, and he just somehow got out of it. And I mean, like, that's a credit to his skill, but also like that's scary as an older relief pitcher who has been used a lot in that Dodgers organization. So that's something that scares me. But I feel like I think he needs to be given the job, at least given the chance to. He needs to lose it wherever he goes, but if he's given a job.
Yeah.
And yeah, for Brad Hand, I think like he's sketchy. I mean, he's one of those guys. He could be a closer. He could be, a setup guy. But I think if he gets a job as a closer, then I think he should be rostered at least at the start of the season. Give him a chance on fantasy teams to. I mean, if he's going out there getting saves, he's worth it. Especially with a pretty low ADP there. He's going in the late 300s. I'm pretty sure. Last time I checked it.
Yeah, I don't know what his ADP is right now, but yeah, he's kind of a scary prospect right now for drafts. See Eric here with the new DH role. Any predictions on at Baez Greinke takes this year? That's right, Greinke's the other good one. Yeah, that's the guy who I couldn't think of. 0. Sorry, it's gonna be 0.
Yeah, he said he wanted was it 1 hit that he wanted? He just wanted 1 more hit or something.
I don't know what. I don't even know.
It'll
saying in interviews he wanted a chance to get 1 more base hit or something like that.
What does he have? Like I don't look at pitchers' hitting stats. So let's see. Let's look at his batting stats real quick. I got my phone up here with Fangraphs. Is it gonna get shot to me?
Played on the Royals at the start, so I mean, no chance to really.
He's got 9 home runs. That might be why.
That's why.
So he wants the 10th home run. Because hits, he's got 117. 1 more hit won't do it. He needs another. He wants double-digit home runs. That'd be pretty funny. He's also got 9 steals. How funny if he finished with 10 and 10. Do it. Give him at bats.
Gotta give it to him.
Oh man, that'd be so fun. But yeah, I don't know with a DH.
Probably no chance.
At this point, even if he goes to an NL team, it's not gonna matter. I don't see them putting him in there. There's just no reason to. But All right, Connor, I want to thank you for coming on the show. It's been great
here.
talking and great information here.
Yep.
Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find your stuff and what you got going on.
Yeah, so you can find my work at Fantasy Six Pack. I did the outfield preview. So if you need help on your outfields this year, go and check that out. You can find me on Twitter at Connor Tomier, as it says right here. I'm going to work on tweeting more this year. Not really active on there, but I'm definitely going to work on being more active there.
I feel you.
And
I
so,
don't
yeah.
believe you.
It's hard to stay active on there, but I'm going to try.
All right, it's all good. All right, man. Well, thanks for coming on, and great talk for sure.
Thanks for having me. It's been a good time.
last question
I will
here.
leave you with is
sorry.
Scotty Rowland. Love him or hate him?
Oh, I love him, dude. I love him so much.
Oh, we got one more question, Trent. What hair products does Connor use?
Oh, I think it was just
Love
some
Way to
daily
one-up me,
clarifying shampoo.
No, yes, he totally did.
Some pretty basic conditioner. Nothing too crazy.
All right. Love the hair,
like
man.
it.
It's
I like
awesome.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, have a good night, and again, great as always.
Yep. You
See ya.
All right.
All right, AJ, that is it. And as I, screwed it up last week, I'm pretty sure next week we're getting into our position previews. Catcher and first base with Mr. Todd Zola
Yes,
from
we
Master
are.
Ball.
Yes, we are.
It will be a very, very good one here. And guys, I'm telling you, if you have not hit that subscribe button yet, you need to do so, man. We got Todd Zola, Alex Fast, Matt Williams, Eric Cross, Michael Semien, and Mike Kurland as our guests for the rest of the draft season shows. A star-studded lineup. No discredit here to already who we have with Chris and Connor, but yeah. It's going to be a fun draft season, man. That's why we line all these guys up. We have a blast talking with all these guys every single year. So hit that subscribe button so you don't miss it. And, yeah, I will announce, by the way, we have hit our 72nd sign up. We're actually 74, so I don't know what I'm going to do for the Fantasy Six-Pack series. So
I just signed up tonight.
I saw that.
So,
you might get kicked out.
Damn it.
Yeah.
That's fine. You can
Yeah.
kick it out.
Considering you almost dropped out of the Fantasy Six-Pack like house league, pretty sure you could be an easy drop. So yeah, we will figure things out.
We'll talk about
But yes, introductions into their announcements as to who got into what division will be out soon, and then hopefully drafts will start sometime early March. So look out for those of you who are still listening and watching. So anyway, I'm done. AJ, anything else?
I'm good.
All right, man. Have a good night. See y'all next week.